Hey, futurist Jim Carroll from the virtual broadcast studio. Listen, if you're watching any type of news today, you're going to see a lot of stuff that was 6 years ago today that Elon Musk unveiled the Tesla Model 3. This is important to think about, not just because it's a cool thing and a very disruptive change occurring in the largest industries, but because you can learn a lot about what I call the concept of a world-class innovation. And this is a theme that I've been playing out there for probably close to 15 years and has a lot to do with predicting future trends. If you remember the story, look, I predicted the Tesla business model in about 2003 when Daimler Chrysler had me over to Stuttgart, Germany, and I predicted that, look, some upstart in Silicon Valley is going to come along and they're going to invent a car that is really going to be a computer on wheels. It might be electric. I said it's going to be delivered to you in a box. It's going to come with a party in a box. I get some of the details wrong. And what did they do in 2003? They laughed at me. Of course they did, because that's what legacy organizations do when confronted by a big disruptive change. But look, this became a story that I told on stage for years and years. So later on, I'll clip for you from an event I did for a manufacturing company called Legrand, where this was 2017. A lot of organizations are debating whether Tesla will be able to pull off the ability to manufacture this car that they have announced. And you want to watch this clip because it really puts in perspective what it is world-class innovators do when they make big, bold bets about the future. What I did for this type of trend and other trends was I developed this whole theme of what I call world-class innovators. What is it that they do that others don't do? And by the time 2010 rolled around, Deloitte South Africa engaged me to do a customized video. They wanted me to appear in person. I was already booked for an event. So we did a customized video called What is it the world-class innovators do that others don't do? And I developed this list of 10 things they do, which really define what organizations are doing today in a really disruptive world. And this became so much of what I talked about looking at a Microsoft event, massive event in 2019. When I showed up for stage check, I took my stabilizer camera and I just wandered around the room and did a 2-minute clip to re-summarize what it is that world-class innovators do. They think big, they think bold, they make big moves, they reinvent their revenue on a regular basis. This is a really important list. So I'm going to play these clips in a moment. Not only that, but all of this fed into one of my books that came out just at the start of the pandemic, Think Big, Start Small, Scale Fast. The entire world-class innovation theme of which, the Tesla story became so much of a focus of what I would concentrate on stage. And corporate organizations around the world really bought into this storyline as something to shake them out of their innovation, organizational sclerosis, to really get into disruptive thinking and continue to do so. I'm actually doing a virtual event Monday where I'm going to be talking a little bit about world-class innovation. The exciting thing about all this is finally last August, I got my Model 3, and that ended up in me doing a show here in the virtual broadcast studio where I reported on my experience with Tesla so far, on what's real, what's not, what can we expect, what is the real disruptive trend that is unfolding here. So I'm going to play a number of clips for you, which are going to run for quite some time. The very first is this 2-minute clip before I went on stage for a massive Microsoft event on what is it the world-class innovators do that others don't do. Then I'm going to play a 2-minute clip from this Deloitte custom video that I did back in 2010 on the same theme, big thinking. What is it the world-class innovators do that others don't do? Then I'm going to play this clip from Legrand in 2017 where I'm talking about the Tesla story on stage, and a lot of people whether they would actually be able to pull off what they were suggesting they were going to be able to do. Look, they actually suggested in their SEC filing that, look, we have no idea how we're going to build this Model 3 on the scale required. It's a remarkable story. Watch that clip. It's a 2-minute clip from the keynote, and then I'm going to conclude with this virtual presentation that I did in the broadcast studio here, reporting on my virtual life, actually reporting on my real life with my Tesla about 5 months in. So give it a watch. Think about world-class innovation. Think about thinking big and bold, because that's what's really going on in our disruptive world today. That's it for now. Watch these clips that are coming up. Hey, good morning, Toronto, Canada. It's futurist Jim Carroll. Remember that song by Supertramp where they commented when you're up on the stage, it's unbelievable? Well, this is a great stage, and I'm here with Microsoft Canada this morning at their Future Now event. We've got some of the senior executives and IT leaders in Canada in the room, and I'm the opening keynote speaker, putting in perspective what organizations need to do to keep up in a world of accelerating change. Now, it's kind of fun to be in Canada. I actually live in Toronto, even though 90% of my events are elsewhere in the world. And there's something weird about Canada. Canada is not keeping up when it comes to aligning itself to fast-paced trends. Canadians tend to fall behind. Maybe that's because we're such nice people, but you know, seriously, what I find is that a lot of organizations aren't aligning themselves to disruptive trends. They aren't keeping up with the pace of technological evolution. They don't make the big, bold decisions that they need to make to deal with disruptive change. So part of my message here this morning is putting in perspective what some of the world's leaders, the organizations that are booking me and bringing me into leadership events, are doing to align themselves to extremely fast-paced change. The strategies they're following, the technologies they're putting in place, the innovative concepts that they are pursuing, and how they're aligning themselves to my key mantra, which is, you know, think big, start small, scale fast. Canadian organizations need to pick up the pace. They can no longer fall behind because it's a big, complex, fast, changing world out there. Going to be a great stage, going to be a great message, going to have a huge amount of fun up here, and we're going to have it on video, so I'll probably have a couple of my hard-hitting messages put up on my website and blog later on. That's it for now. Futurist Jim Carroll from Toronto, Canada. Hi, I'm Jim Carroll. I'm a futurist trends and innovation expert based in Toronto, Canada. I'd like to welcome you to my home office. It's a home office where I provide advice and guidance to some of the world's largest organizations. Organizations such as Walt Disney, Northrop Grumman, Rockwell Collins, Toshiba Australia, the Swiss Innovation Forum. I provide my insight on future trends, innovation, and how to deal with a world in which change is happening faster than ever before. Think about the rates of change which are occurring. I often share 3 statistics with my clients that provide them insight on how quickly your world is changing. Number 1, it's suggested that 65% of the kids who are in preschool today will work in a job or career that doesn't even yet exist. Number 2, it's estimated if you're taking a university degree that half of what you learn in your very first year is obsolete or revised by the time you graduate. And number 3, the typical digital camera only has a shelf life of about 3 to 6 months before it's made obsolete by the next generation in advance of technology. That's why the global media magnate Rupert Murdoch observed that the future belongs to those who are fast. It doesn't belong to organizations who are slow. It belongs to organizations that can change, that can adapt, that can evolve, and that can deal with increasing velocity of change in the global economy. So the world is changing very fast, and we now find ourselves in new and challenging economic realities. All of us are trying to figure out what it is we need to do to ensure we can achieve success given this new complex economy. You know, I had the CEO of one client organization. He observed to his staff that we really have 3 choices. Number 1, we can panic. Number 2, we can choose to do nothing. Or number 3, we can choose to innovate, change, and adapt. You know, over the last 2 years, I've had the observation of watching what some of the world's leading innovators are doing to ensure that we can thrive in these new, challenging economic times. And that's what I want to share with you today. What do world-class innovators do to stay ahead of rapidly changing circumstances? So what is it that world-class innovators do that others don't do? And what can we learn about the future of human resource management from that? Well, the very first thing they focus on is that they have a relentless focus on growth. Bill Gates once observed that for a lot of people in a lot of organizations, they tend to overestimate the rate of change that will occur on a 2-year basis. They underestimate the rate of change that will occur on a 10-year basis. And think about trends over a 10-year basis. There are a lot of significant opportunities for growth. It's estimated global food production has to double to keep up with global population growth. It's estimated that within 10 years, there will be 1.8 billion people in the global middle class. That's half of the global population, up from 30% of the population today. We're witnessing significant growth with rapid rates of scientific advance, resulting in the emergence of new careers, new jobs, new industries, new lines of business. Everywhere you look, when you think on a 10-year basis, there are significant opportunities for growth. And world-class innovators realize that what they do with their human capital, how they use it, how they deploy it, will increasingly come to define their future success as they focus on growth. World-class innovators continually transition their revenue source. They know we live in a world of product hyper-innovation. Take what's going on in the world of entertainment, in the world of television. A constant flood of new technologies, new capabilities, new products that can be sold into the marketplace. In a world of product hyper-competition, opportunity is endless. You know, this new global economy involves all kinds of twists and turns, ups and downs. It's going to be your ability to generate new revenue that hasn't existed before, your ability to enter new markets where you haven't participated before, your ability to invent new products that you have not sold before. And from a talent perspective, that's going to involve a lot of retraining. It's going to involve a lot of new knowledge. It's going to involve a lot of reskilling. It's going to be your ability to generate new revenue where it hasn't existed before that's going to define your future success. Innovators obsess over speed and velocity. They know that it's the pace of change that will define their future success. Whether it's the emergence of new business models, new competitors, global competition, new technologies, the world of business is changing faster than ever before. When it comes to human capital and talent, it's your ability to form fast teams that will define your future success. World-class innovators focus on transformative business model change. You know, I live a few miles from the Ford North American truck plant. Their business model is they build 700,000 trucks, put them into inventory and hope that they sell. Honda, on the other hand, they're of a mindset that they look at what's selling this week and they say, well, maybe we'll build that next week. It's all about flexibility, and it's all about flexibility of their skills to deal with new market realities. World-class innovators get ahead of transformative business model change. I want you to think about the car company of the future. Maybe the car company of the future could be Google. They'll simply offshore the manufacturing of the car to China, to Asia, South Africa. You'll buy the car online, it will be delivered to you via FedEx. You know, we live in a period of time in which new business models are being invented overnight. And when it comes to human capital, it's all about creativity, it's about imagination, it's about the ability to explore new ideas. World-class innovators focus on flexibility of structure as a key success factor. Increasingly, people are going to provide their skills to their clients wherever they might be in the world. What we know about this next generation is they are unlike any other generation in the workforce before. More than half of them believe that self-employment is more secure than a full-time job. They believe that, a long-term career is about 2 to 5 years. 67% admitted on their very first day in a new job, they're already looking for another job. When it comes to talent in the workforce, it's all about innovation with this next generation. The seventh thing that innovative organizations concentrate upon is continually transitioning the skills and knowledge of their staff. There's so many new discoveries, so much new knowledge happening, it's changing careers. Take what's going on in the world of construction. There's so many new design principles, the emergence of intelligent building infrastructure, the emergence of all kinds of new environmental design applications. What's happening is that building architects, design engineers, anyone involved in managing a building is finding that the knowledge that they need to know to do their their job is changing at a furious pace. Take the world of healthcare as an example. You know, it's estimated today that the volume of medical knowledge is now doubling every 8 years. The rapid advancement of new pharmaceuticals, the rapid discovery of new forms of treatment, the rapid emergence of biotechnologies. You know, there's so much discovery going on. That's why Microsoft has suggested that for a lot of nations, some 50% of GDP in the 21st century will consist of knowledge and learning activities. That's why world-class innovators realize that one of the key concepts they need to take into the future is that learning is what most adults will do for a living in the 21st century. World-class innovators anticipate obvious future trends and change their behavior to keep up with an ever faster future. And that's what's involved with workforce innovation. Your world is going to change at a faster pace than ever before. You need to think differently in terms of what you do with your workforce. I'm futurist trends and innovation expert Jim Carroll, wishing you good luck.
Tesla said in their SAC statement last year, anybody buy one of the Model 3 cars? 400,000 people bought into a vehicle which does not yet exist. Right here. You put your $1,000 down. I put my $1,000 down. I didn't tell my wife. She got the Amex bill. You bought a what? It doesn't exist. Are you crazy? Can we get the money back? 400,000 people have bought into a dream. And what Tesla said in their SEC filing is that, look, we have absolutely no experience in doing what we need to do to bring this car to market. But we're going to try. There is an Elon Musk in every single industry who is disrupting things at a furious pace. Every morning I get up and I put a little motivational quote from a stage presentation online, pump it out to Instagram and Pinterest and Twitter and Facebook. And I got up one morning and I wrote this one. We're in a situation in which companies that do not yet exist will build products not yet conceived based on ideas not yet generated, use the materials not yet invented with manufacturing methodologies that aren't yet in existence. I think increasingly that's our reality going forward, and it's going to be your ability to ingest these trends and turn them into opportunity that will increasingly define your future and help you discover what you need to do.
Hey, futurist Jim Carroll from the virtual broadcast studio. 2021, we're still stuck at home as COVID rages around us. You know, what I've been doing is I've been running a series called Headlines, where I've been taking apart some of the trends of today to put in perspective how real are they. And today I want to talk about Tesla. Look, it's a topic which is certainly in the news. They're redefining the automotive industry at a furious pace. Automotive companies are rushing to make the statement that they're in the electric vehicle business when the jury is still out as to whether they really are. And this was all intensified when Elon Musk was recently named as Person of the Year. There's no doubt he is reinventing entire industries, the space industry, the automotive industry, the energy industry. Here's what I've learned about Elon Musk. There's some people who absolutely love him. He is an innovation and disruptive thinking superhero who is certainly changing the world. At the same time, there's a whole bunch of people who absolutely hate him, hate Tesla. You can see this with what happens on the stock market. There's no middle ground, it seems, but what I want to try and do is take it apart, put it in perspective. Now look, I've been talking about Tesla for a long time. I like to think I sort of predicted their business model way back in 2003 when I was with Daimler Chrysler over in Stuttgart, Germany, and predicted a business model in which you would buy your car online, that it would be based on batteries, it would be electric. I spoke about this at a lot of conferences through the years, and a good case in point is a manufacturing conference in 2017. Where I talked about the big, bold moves that Tesla was willing to make, and I brought out what they had in their SEC filing, their Securities and Exchange Commission filing at the time. They basically wrote that, look, we're bringing the Model 3 to market. We have no idea how we're going to do this. They actually wrote in the document for investors that we have no experience to date in manufacturing vehicles at the high volumes that we anticipate for the forthcoming Model 3. And to be successful, we're going to have to figure out a lot of stuff. We're going to have to develop efficient, automated, low-cost manufacturing capabilities, processes and supply chain capabilities that we really don't have right now. They basically said to investors, we don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to figure it out. And I know in the Q&A at this particular conference, a lot of the engineers in the room were asking, do you really think they're going to be able to pull it off? Well, here we are in 2021. And the fascinating thing for me is I joined the club this year. I got a Tesla Model 3 in August. We moved to a new home. I've got solar on the roof. We upgraded our electrical panel so that I've got in-garage Tesla charging. And I've had the opportunity to experience the Kool-Aid over the last 4 months. And I've done a lot of thinking in terms of what I've spoken about, where we're going in the future for so many years with the Tesla business model and the reality of what is occurring on the ground. Look, I've got posts on my website, like 54 things you haven't thought about with self-driving car technology, which really take apart everything we're dealing with in terms of our path to the future. So what I want to do here is I want to take apart the headlines and put in perspective the reality of what is occurring. And I'm going to do that with what is called the Gartner Hype Cycle. Now, Gartner is a technology research firm. And they said that, look, any idea, any disruptive trend, any technology which comes to our world, it goes through this curve. We get the trigger, it appears. We get this incredible range of hype around it, the peak of inflated expectations. And then everybody realizes it's going to take a lot of work to make it go. So, we hit the trough of disillusionment. Eventually, there's the slope of enlightenment and the plateau of productivity. Every single idea, every single trend, every single item we're using in our world today has gone through the Gartner Hype Cycle. You can put electronic commerce on it, and from 1997 up to today's reality, e-commerce followed the curve exactly. What I want to do is I want to put in perspective what is really happening in terms of my experience with Tesla and what I've observed. So are there some things that are at the peak of inflated expectations? Where are we at the trough of disillusionment? Where might we be in terms of the slope of enlightenment? And where are we actually at the plateau of productivity? The thing about the Gartner Hype Cycle is this is all about timing, and this is a trend I spoke about in my 19 trends for 2019. The issue of timing, getting timing right is critical to understanding the future. If you can take a trend and you can get the timing right, you really are well grounded and well prepared for what's going to come next. And when you take apart what is going on with vehicle technology and smart mobility and self-driving and electronic vehicles, every single aspect of what is occurring here is at a different place on the Gartner Hype Cycle. So let's take it apart. And in my personal view, where do we really see Tesla today, and what does that mean for our future? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a particular issue, and I'm going to give it outline where I perceive it to be in terms of the ranking. I do this with full knowledge that there are some people who absolutely hate Tesla. There are people who love Tesla and everything it represents. And so look, any opinion you express here can be met with rounding disbelief, dislike, or absolute love. So let's take it apart in terms of what I've been through. Number one, vehicle charging. A lot of the discussion of the Tesla haters is that it doesn't work. Electric vehicles aren't the future. It's simply not going to survive. Look, my experience, they've absolutely nailed it. The whole issue of range anxiety has disappeared. I've never had a period of time where I have experience the concern that comes from I'm not going to be able to get there, I'm not going to have the capacity. I can get 400 kilometers or say 275 miles out of my vehicle, but everything they've done with the infrastructure is such that when you need to charge, how you can charge, where you can charge. It's really not an issue. The issue of business model disruption. Look, 10 years out, most car dealers are not going to be in existence because they really don't lend a lot of value to the entire process. You buy your car online, and that's it. There's a very limited number of models, a very limited number of options, and I think this is really going to be the pathway forward for the future. And I've been saying this at automotive dealer conferences for years, that if you're not lending value to the equation, you really don't have a future in front of you. The big trend is that cars are becoming computers. The phrase I use is that cars are becoming rolling, hyper-connected digital technology platforms on wheels with big batteries. And Tesla has this absolutely nailed. I mean, your car is in the garage, you get up in the morning, there's been a software update that has rolled out, there's some type of safety issue that One of the regulatory bodies might express concern about what does Tesla do? They roll out a software update. What does Volkswagen do? They require you to physically bring your vehicle into a dealership to get a software update. I mean, Tesla has nailed the car as a technology platform to such a degree, it is simply staggering. And the cool thing that you get with this is your car comes with an API. If you're a computer geek, this is important. What it is an application programming interface. It allows organizations to write software that can talk to your car and pull data out of your car. And as a technology geek myself, I mean, the data I get on my charging, on my driving, on my performance, on my efficiency, all these statistics that come with the car, I mean, it truly is something absolutely magical. Navigation technology, they've absolutely nailed it. It's at the plateau of productivity. You will notice every single ranking I'm giving so far, Tesla is at the plateau of productivity. I have not found anything yet to quibble about. Now, I haven't had a lot of experience with service and support. I know there essentially is not a lot. When you read the car manual, it says, change your windshield wipers, top up the brake fluid, top up the windshield fluid, and check in with us every once in a while if you need to. There's really no service and support. Once you eliminate the internal combustion engine and oil and gas and diesel and all that stuff, there's a lot of maintenance which simply goes away. The cool thing is your phone, if you have a service issue, you simply make your appointment through the phone and they'll actually drive to your house to fix something if you need it done. From a business perspective, I think what Tesla has done is they've redefined what it means to operate at speed in fast emerging industries. There's a show that I put on my site which actually got thousands of views after it went online about the chip shortage. And what I really put in perspective is the chip shortage in the world of automotive and transportation is not a chip shortage. It's a pure example of where automotive companies have failed by aligning themselves to what happens when your industry becomes a computer-driven industry. And Tesla has not suffered from this problem because they learned how to source different chips and how to rewrite the software to work with those different chips and simply make the chip shortage issue go away. So from a business agility and speed perspective, they're certainly on the plateau of productivity. Look, cars are becoming like iPhones. We're going to replace them faster. Design matters. The design externally, the design of the dashboard, your dashboard is becoming like your iPhone. And I think certainly everything that Tesla has done with a car as a design platform, doing the beautiful things that we can do, for example, what Steve Jobs was doing with an iPhone, they're absolutely on the plateau of productivity. Which brings me to one of the things that most touted with Tesla, self-driving technology. And in my personal opinion, I think we're on the peak of inflated expectations. And my experience has been this. I paid the money for full self-driving. It's not full self-driving. The basic car comes with what's called autopilot. And if you immerse yourself in the Tesla community, you will find a lot of people talking about what they call phantom braking. And that is where your car is driving along and all of a sudden it simply slows down, sometimes almost violently so. You can find all kinds of stories about this. And this issue seems to have become worse during 2021 when Tesla underwent a major engineering redesign of their car, moving from one technology to another technology to try to accelerate the self-driving platform. Here's my conclusion. We're not quite ready. Here's my conclusion. I think I'm essentially paying money to participate in a beta test. For me, that's okay because this is related to my business. But here's an interesting way to think about what is going on. There's a fellow I follow on Twitter called the Whole Mars Catalog. That's the name of the Twitter account. Kind of fascinating. I've never seen a guy tweet so much. I'm kind of worried about his food patterns because he seems to spend a lot of time at fast food joints. But if you follow him, he put up a fascinating post. Which really put in perspective what is going on with his perspective of self-driving. If you look at it a year ago and you look at it today, it is like a night and day transition. So certainly, while some of us are not experiencing what we thought we would experience with this aspect, he had another post that he said, imagine if you showed a Tesla to somebody in 1990. The car is processing video of its surroundings and rendering a 3D vector space in real time of where it's traveling. On the right side, you see satellite aerial imagery of where you are. The car has fast internet and it's got Netflix. So while I think, they're at the peak of inflated expectations with what they're talking about with self-driving, it is certainly moving along fast. It is certainly accelerating fast. And for me, Well, one aspect of my mindset says it's not worth the investment to pay for the so-called full self-driving technology when it's not. The other side of it, side of my mind says, yeah, but you're really participating in one of the most unique computer experiences, development experiences to have ever occurred, and you get to be a part of it. And to me, that's kind of important given what I do. So where are we with Tesla today? Overall, I'd put them on the slope of enlightenment. I think they own the future of the automotive industry. The key thing is they've learned how to scale. If you go back to that 2017 SEC filing where they said, we have no idea how to bring out the Model 3 in volume, but we're going to figure it out. Well, they figured it out. I mean, they've gone from 2,000 cars to 2012 to 1.3 million projected in 2022. They're about to bring on massive manufacturing plants in Austin, Texas, over in Germany, and in Shanghai. They're learning how to scale. And that, I think, is the most powerful thing because they've succeeded at so many other aspects of the automotive industry of the 21st century. And as they figure out the scale issue, it's really fascinating where they're going to go. And I think automotive manufacturers are admitting this. So to me, one of the most interesting things through 2021 was when the CEO of Volkswagen invited Elon Musk in to talk to his leadership team about where the industry is going. And that was an admission by VW, the CEO of VW, who I think is one of the most brilliant individuals out there, willing to accept that the reality of his future has forever changed by inviting in your competitor and saying to your team, this is the guy setting the pace. That more than anything says to me that with everything Tesla has done, they truly do own the future. They're charting the pathway for the future. It's going to take a lot of work for legacy automotive companies to catch up, which is going to make the next several years really, really interesting. I'm going to close by playing for you this clip from 2017 when I was on stage talking about the big, bold bets that they were willing to make. They certainly have accomplished this in a lot of different perspectives, except for one. That's it for now. Futurist Jim Carroll from the virtual broadcast studio.
You know what I found to be one of the most fundamentally fascinating quotes of our time is what Tesla said in their SEC statement last year. Anybody buy one of the Model 3 cars? 400,000 people bought into a vehicle which does not yet exist. Right here. You put your $1,000 down. I put my $1,000 down. I didn't tell my wife. She got the Amex bill. You bought a what? It doesn't exist. Are you crazy? Can we get the money back? 400,000 people have bought into a dream. And what Tesla said in their SEC filing is that, look, we have absolutely no experience in doing what we need to do to bring this car to market. But we're going to try. There is an Elon Musk in every single industry who is disrupting things at a furious pace. Yeah, every morning I get up and I put a little motivational quote from a stage presentation online, pump it out to Instagram and Pinterest and Twitter and Facebook. And I got up one morning and I wrote this one. We're in a situation in which companies that do not yet exist will build products not yet conceived based on ideas not yet generated, using materials not yet invented, with manufacturing methodologies that aren't yet in existence. I think increasingly that's our reality going forward, and it's going to be your ability to ingest these trends and turn them into opportunity that will increasingly define your future and help you discover what you need to do